Going to talk about quite a difficult topic today, but it underpins everything that I do, certainly around the raising awareness and acceptance of autism, books, videos, this constant kind of grind that I put myself through of, creating content in the hope that people will listen and care and make a change. I want to talk about life expectancy. I guess this is on my mind a lot this year because I was 40 this year, and it's a big milestone. People go on and on about 40. It's this big year. Ooh, you're 40. That's it. And the fact of the matter is that if you happen to be autistic, then the average life expectancy is, from what I can gather from multiple sources, mid-50s. Your life expectancy is mid-50s. Now, just a disclaimer, I am fully aware that life expectancy is an average. It is a statistical average, across a whole population. And I do not, it does not mean that if you happen to be autistic that you are going to die at 55. Do not think that if you're autistic watching this. Don't panic, don't worry in that regard, because that's not how it works. I'm not sitting here thinking, all right, I've got 15 years left, I better make the most of it. I'm, hoping and planning on lasting much longer than that. But it is a statistical average, and it is based on fact. And the fact of the matter is that being autistic affects your life expectancy. And the crucial thing here is that it's not autism that's doing that. There's nothing biological about being autistic that's going to kill you earlier. It's a result of the impact of being autistic in the world that does this to you, in my opinion, based on reading and talking to people and everything that I do. So I just want to unpick a little bit about why this might be. How can it be? Well, first of all, how can it be that the autistic life expectancy is so much lower than the average? I think, the average life expectancy in the UK is in, late 70s. We're talking 20 years difference. That's huge. The other question is, how come this isn't a bloody scandal? How come this isn't headline news that a sizable minority of the population, 1 in 25, 1 in 30 people at least, have a life expectancy that's severely curtailed? But this is why I do all of this, because I guess naively and optimistically I hope that, writing books and doing videos and writing my LinkedIn posts and my little Instagram memes and all this guff that I do might cut through at some point. Somebody might listen and start to make changes, because the life expectancy is low because of how we experience being autistic in this world and how other people treat us. I fundamentally believe that. So let's look at some examples. Well, stress. Stress is a killer. We all know this. Everyone listening to this knows that stress is a killer. A long, slow, insidious killer. The more stressed you are, the more likely you are to suffer as a result. The more likely you are to, suffer all kinds of health complications as a result. It's not good for you to be stressed. And if you're autistic, you're stressed a lot, and you are very stressed, traumatized. Even. I deliver a course for the NHS every week where we talk about this kind of thing, and we talk about trauma-informed care, because autistic people very frequently have what we call CPTSD, complex PTSD, from the constant low-level kind of trauma experiences that we have. It's not necessarily that we're like in a war zone, and we're seeing people being killed or anything like that, but it's constant sources of trauma from a very, very early age. Getting much worse at school, maybe even peaking at school, but still very, very much, through adulthood. Social miscommunication, social barriers, being bullied, being ostracized, our sensory experience, being overwhelmed, having meltdowns in public, having shutdowns in public, having massive fallings out with people when we don't even know what's going on because we didn't intend to cause any harm, but our communication mistranslation had, cause real problems. Disorganization, not being able to make appointments, not being able to look after ourselves because we have so few spoons on a daily basis, because we're so exhausted and so stressed, and it's a vicious cycle, that just kind of spins out of control. So stress has a huge impact on things. I was diagnosed as having high blood pressure, very high blood pressure, I think I was, God, when was it? I was still in Bristol. It would have been about 10 years. Yeah, I would have been in my, no, it was more than that. I was in my mid to late 20s when I was diagnosed with very, very, very high blood pressure. And at the time, I just thought, oh, my dad had that, has that. He's fine. My dad has high blood pressure. I've just inherited it from him. Of course, now I've been diagnosed as autistic. My dad, I think he'd be fine with me saying, is pretty certain that he is too, and I fully agree with him. So actually, it could be that for both of us, our high blood pressure is actually a stress response. We are just so inordinately stressed all the time that our blood pressure is through the roof. I'm medicated. It's fine, but it's not. It's not doing me any good. I'd rather not be. And then you've got access to healthcare. I wrote about this extensively in Untypical, where the access to healthcare is barricaded and gate kept at certain points, which can be very difficult for autistic people to push through and access. So, basic things like, just making that phone call to make your initial appointment, being able to tell the doctor what is wrong and it be understood. The fact that our pain response might be different and the way we communicate about pain might be different to the neurotypical majority. All of these things can, accumulate to make healthcare really difficult to access. And even when we do access it, we might not get the same kind of outcomes. Simply because doctors aren't necessarily trained in how to speak neurodivergent, or what to expect, or how to help us through an appointment situation. And not all of us have people that can go with us. Not all of us are in a position where we can take a buddy with us into the doctor's surgery to help, get our problems across. I know from my own experience that when I'm in a doctor's appointment, I just want to get out as quickly as possible. I find the whole thing inordinately stressful. I never feel heard. I never feel like what I'm saying is being taken seriously. And I'm not being funny, but I'm a white guy. If I don't feel like I'm being taken seriously, I know what it can be like for other people with different intersectionalities. Just total ignoring, just belittling, dismissal. There's nothing wrong with you. Don't be daft. Constant. So that doesn't help either. And then we've got mental health, obviously related to stress. But the sad fact of the matter is, and I think all autistic people maybe might personally know another autistic person, or will have heard of another autistic person, who took their own life. Suicide rates amongst autistic adults are extremely high, way higher than the average. I think 7 or 8 times higher than the general population. And again, this is not intrinsic to autism. This is a result of all of these things that I'm talking about, and all the other things that I talk about, and all the other things that everyone else talks about, all the other autistic content creators who are fantastic, who create such powerful stuff. Ultimately, it can get bad enough that it seems your only option. All of this contributes to this low life expectancy. And I can say, I feel oddly comfortable talking about suicide. I don't know what it is. There's no shame there. It's a response to horrific conditions and horrific experiences. And as I said earlier, it's astonishing to me that this isn't bigger news. That so many people who have so much to offer the world, not economically, I don't care about that, but in terms of love and creativity and passions and joy, so many people, so many nice, good people are struggling so badly. It should be a scandal. It should be on the front page of every newspaper, but it's not. No one knows about it. It doesn't feel much like anyone cares. But I have a naive hope that if people are aware of it, then they would care. And I would imagine that a lot of the people that subscribe to this channel and, are interested in this kind of thing probably do care. But we just need to get it out there. We just need to get this stuff out there so that more people care. And then maybe we can start to see a change. Because all of these sources of stress, all of these sources of misery could be mitigated considerably by a kinder, more inclusive world that accepted neurodivergent people as different, but accepted it. We're just all part of life's rich tapestry, to paraphrase REM. So there we go.